Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing something a little bit different. I usually post vlogs on this channel, but I wanted to transition to kind of some other like sit down type videos like this one. And I wanted to kind of branch out into different topics. Since I've just kind of been vlogging my life, you've seen a little bit of everything, but I wanted to make a dedicated video for real estate. And this video, I wish I had known this stuff when I was getting into real estate, but I'm basically going to be going over how much it actually costs to get into real estate, because I feel like, especially since like Selling Sunsets and all of those cool HGTV shows are being aired, everyone thinks that going into real estate or anything to do with real estate is just super glamorous and you make so much money and it's just like the best thing ever. So I just wanted to kind of go a little bit more in depth about what or how much it actually costs to get into real estate. So what most people don't tell you is that you're not just gonna go get your license and sell a house next week. Like, that doesn't happen. I mean, if it does, congratulations, good job. But the average time it takes somebody to sell their first house after getting their license is 6 months. 6 months is a long time, that's half a year. And you're not making any money. Nothing. You're not making any money. So a lot of people will try and have a separate job that'll bring in some income while they're doing their real estate or getting it kind of started, which is what I did. But real estate takes up a lot of time and you have to have a fairly flexible schedule in order to make it work, because especially in the market that we're in right now, it's a seller's market. And in order to get anything for your clients, for your buyers, you have to go really fast. So keep that in mind, that a lot of people can't have a second job while they're doing real estate, and you're not making money unless you're closing transactions. So that's a whole different story. Like, there's so much to talk about and I could go on forever and ever and ever. But I wanted to just stick with the costs of starting out in real estate. So all of the essential things that you're going to need to put in your budget before starting out. There is going to be a little bit of wiggle room here, but I kind of just put my numbers, like how much I paid for things. So the first thing that you need to pay for and budget for is schooling. So obviously you have to take a course in order to be able to take the real estate exam. In Tennessee, where I live, we have a 2-week course, and that covers pretty much everything that you're gonna have on the test. We have a national portion of the test and a state portion, and most other states have both as well, but I'm just basing everything off of Tennessee. But yeah, so my course was 2 weeks long. It was Monday through Friday for 2 weeks, and then my course itself was 8 a.m. to, I believe, 1:30 p.m. So it wasn't too far into the day. So you could potentially still be working during this time. But I took off of work the entire 2-week duration that I was in classes, which I'm so thankful that I was able to do that, because it is hard. Like, maybe I'm just stupid, but it's a really hard course. You need to be able to pass a certain number of questions or you have to take it over again. And that's just, it's frustrating. So what I did, I was in class from 8 a.m. to 1:30 in the afternoon, and then I would go grab some lunch and then go to a coffee shop and study for another 4-ish hours before I came home. So it is a lot of time spent in class, And if you're like me and you need a little extra study time, you're gonna need to take off of work. So the first course is that 2 weeks. I was able, if I wanted, to work weekends because the class was only Monday through Friday, but I did just take off the whole 2 weeks because, I was able to, and I'm thankful that I was able to, but it's definitely a hit to the bank account. So right there, I'm already $2,000 negative because I would have been making $2,000 in that 2 week period. So that's a bummer, but the class itself, it ranges in price. So that's the first class. I paid $375 to take this 2 week course, which is not that bad if you're thinking about the fact that it is technically a trade. So if you're going to a trade school or a college, this is so much cheaper. But a lot of people just don't think about how much things are going to be when you're talking about real estate. They think it's really easy. So it's $375 for this first class. After this class, there is another 2-day class. It's called the Course for New Affiliates. Oh, it might be 3 days long, actually. I think it's 3 days. It's called the Course for New Affiliates. So it's basically diving a little bit deeper into real estate, what you have to do after you get your license, and it is a required course in order to take your state exam. So this course costed $175. So together it came out to around $550 just for schooling, and that does not count the amount of money that you're losing taking off for a little over 2 weeks. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the examination fee and what you have to pay for after you take all the courses. So I have everything written down over here, by the way, so if I'm like looking over here, just ignore me. I'm obviously not going to remember all these numbers off the top of my head. But so the examination fee, you have to pay an application. So it is $90 to apply for your exam, and then it's an additional $43 to take your exam. And then in order to get your license, you have to have a background check and get your fingerprints done. This costs around $90. It ranges depending on where you go. I think mine was a little bit cheaper, but I looked online and the average is around $90, and you have to pay for that. So you don't have an employer here. No one's paying for you to get any of this done. You're paying for it. So with the exam application, the actual exam, the fingerprinting, and the background check, it comes out to around $226 just to take the exam and apply for it. So it's kind of adding up fairly quickly. But if you think that's bad, it gets a little bit worse. So after you get your license, you have, I think, either 30 to 90 days to get signed up under a brokerage. I know that's not the case for every state, but in Tennessee, you do have to be underneath a brokerage. So you have a little bit of time to kind of shop around, go and interview different places. I thought this process was a little bit weird because whenever you go in for a job interview, usually you want that job and you're trying to sell yourself to your employer. But in this case, you still want to be presentable and it's kind of like you're looking for a job, but it's kind of the opposite. They're trying to get you to join their brokerage. So they're trying to hire you. So I thought that was kind of cool. I went and I interviewed at a couple of different places before making my decision just to see what kind of fit me the best. You can find a ton of different brokerages. In Nashville, we have so many. I think we have like 6,000 agents in Nashville alone, which is so many. But yeah, we have a ton of different brokerages. They all have different office fees, commission splits, and things like that. But for me, my office fee is $150 a month. I do not have an office at my office, like it's not a specific office just for me. I can go to the office anytime I would like to do any work, and we have a bunch of closing tables and everything at the office that I can go to and use at my disposal. But essentially I'm paying them $150 because we make 100% of our commissions. So we don't have a commission split. Therefore, the company's not really making any money. So they have to charge us this $150 a month in order to keep everything on and running and everything like that. So I pay $150 at my brokerage, but it ranges. I know I think it was Cry Like that I interviewed at, they charge a little bit more and they have different commission splits and rates, and I would just recommend interviewing at a couple different places to see what fits best for you, and it is going to vary state by state and everyone's different. So anyway, once you get assigned to a brokerage, you need to become a part of an association. So typically you have to be in an association that your brokerage is also a part of. So I'm a part of Greater Nashville Realtors, and it's like the biggest realtor corporation in the country. They have different branches for every state, obviously, but that is what gives me the little trademarked realtor sign. I can call myself a realtor. Otherwise, I'm just an affiliate broker or real estate agent. But my association dues, they are due annually. Mine were $527. This is due up front. You don't get to pay it monthly. You don't get to pay it at the end of the year. You pay it up front. So when I joined in August, I paid a prorated amount. I think it was around 300 something bucks. And then I had to pay the 500 something dollars again before December 31st. And if you don't pay it by December 31st, you get penalized. So that's fun. But anyway, yeah, you have your association dues that you have to be a part of. You also have to be a part of an MLS system. So here in Nashville, we're a part of RealTracs. It costs me $42 a month for my RealTracs membership. This is what we use to find different homes that are on the market. This is what we use to list our homes on the market. The next thing that you are required to have as an agent is E&O insurance. So this is errors and omissions insurance, and it's basically a buffer of insurance that if you get sued for something, it's gonna help you out. Because if you get sued for something in real estate, it's generally going to be very expensive. So we have to have a minimum of $100,000 E&O insurance, I believe it is, and that's on the very low end. So if you get sued in real estate, it can easily bring up charges that are over $1 million like so quickly. So it's definitely more important to get a higher insurance if you can afford it. I think I got a little bit over 100, I think maybe 150 or 200,000. I'm not 100% sure, but mine was really cheap. I only pay $400 a year. So I need to look into that and see if I'm doing it right, because I feel like that's pretty cheap. But that does not cover any cyber incidences. So if you or your clients are dealing with wire fraud or that's happened to you, it will not cover that. So you would have to get a separate insurance to cover any cyber transactions. I don't have that, but I'm getting it. So It's a really important thing to have. Wire fraud is very real. So if you are in the process of buying a home, please, 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 please be wary of any wire fraud going on. But anyway, with all of that added up, with the association fee of $527, the real tax payments of $42 a month, and then the E&O insurance for around $400 a year, it comes out to $1,431 for the year. So it's not terrible broken down monthly, but those are just the things that you have to have. So, the next thing would be marketing. Now, this is going to range drastically person to person. So, marketing is going to be any of your advertisements, any lead generation programs, anything you use to put yourself out there is technically considered marketing. So I pay $300 a month in a lead generation program through my brokerage. It comes with a lot of different things that I think is worth it. I get a couple of leads a day that some of them are good, strong leads, and some of them aren't. So it's kind of a hit or miss, but I pay $300 a month for this. And then that doesn't include anything I spend outside of that lead generation program. So any Facebook advertisements is going to be a little bit extra. I don't spend too much on anything advertisement wise outside of the $300, just because that's a lot of money, and what they do there is put that $300 towards ads in your area. So, but occasionally, if I have something like an open house or a listing that I'm promoting, then I will throw maybe $20 per post for Facebook advertisement for that. So it's not common that I personally do that, but I know a lot of people spend a lot of money on Facebook advertisements, Google advertisements, Yelp, business pages. It can range really wide. So I did look up online, and it does say that the average person spends around $1,000 a year on marketing. I spend $300 a month, so I'm way over that budget. But it's really subjective, like whatever. It just ranges for everybody. So I might pay a little more, somebody else might pay a little more, but yours might be a little cheaper. It just depends on what you're doing to market yourself. So like if you got a billboard, that's like a $10,000 commitment, even more than that, to get yourself on a billboard. You can get your car wrapped. Things like that are very expensive. You can get car magnets, you can get license plates, you can get merchandise. I have some real estate masks that I wear. They're not branded to me, but a lot of people brand their items so that they are specifically for them, advertisement for them, and that way it is a tax write-off. Which is a whole different thing. If you guys want me to make a video about write-offs and such, let me know. I can do that too. But anyway, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about is other expenses and advertisement kind of methods. So open houses are a really big way to grow your business. If you have people in your office that have listings, if you don't, you can offer to host an open house. This is a great way to get leads for the people who are unrepresented that come in to look at the house. So this doesn't happen super often because I feel like a lot of people nowadays already have realtors when they go out and look at different homes. But sometimes there are people that just see the sign or are just kind of browsing in their preliminary stages of searching for a house, and they'll mosey on in with no agent. So this is an easy way to get leads for a fairly cheap price. But if you are hosting open houses regularly and by yourself, typically it's you and another person, you have to have a core set of items in order to do that. So you're going to need open house signage. So I have one open house metal sign. I did buy it secondhand, so it was a little cheaper. Anything with a metal frame is going to cost you around $50 to $80, depending on where you get it. And then you can buy some other open house, just like yard signs. I'll try to put in a picture or something right here if I can figure out how to do it. But I ordered mine off of Amazon, just unbranded ones. They cost about $40 for 5 signs. So I would recommend at least starting with 10 or so. So that brings it around $100 to get signs. I also bought open house flags. This is by no means necessary, but they do bring in a lot of traffic to your open houses. So I love my flags. My flags cost around $80, but obviously they're reusable. You just put them up, take them down every time you have an open house, and they do bring a lot of attention to the event. So that I would recommend to get something a little bit more in your face for an open house, but it's obviously up to you. The next thing you have to think about are the balloons and the helium it may take to blow up the balloons. You need to have some shoe covers, little booties. I got mine in a big pack. It wasn't too expensive. I think it was like $8 or something. These are just small little things that you have to think about because they do add up fairly quickly. If you are listing a home, you will have to have listing signs made. I went to somebody that our brokerage uses a lot. I don't know if they gave us a discount just because we are associated with this company, but for them to design my signs with my picture and all my information, as well as the metal frames that hold them, it cost $60 per sign. So I paid $120 because I got 2 of them. And then another thing you have to think about with a listing is a sentry box or some sort of lock box that you will put on the outside of the house. Typically, sentry boxes are gonna cost around $90 a piece. So I would suggest getting at least 1, if not 2, starting out just in case. So around $200 for a sentry lock, $120-ish for those listing signs. And then let's say all like the booty covers and those all like the balloons and helium and stuff for the open house, around $100. So that'll bring the open house and signage, that kind of thing, to around $600. I did add everything up. These are the essentials, I would think, or what I've found as essential in real estate are just those things, and it comes out to around $3,257. These things are due up front. There's no payment plan. There's no monthly other than the RealTrax monthly payment. That's pretty much the only thing that is monthly, and it's $42. Everything else is upfront payment. The signage and everything, at least you were able to reuse it. It's not something that just goes away. But it's kind of a lot of money. So $3,257 is around how much you should be estimating to save if you're gonna go into real estate. I would say all of this is going to be due your first month. I'm sure you could kind of squeeze it to the second month. But most of it is going to be due quite up front. So the other things that you're going to need to keep into consideration when you're getting into real estate is that you need to dress in a way that's very professional. So maybe you don't have any business clothing. Like when I started, I didn't really have any business clothes, so I had to go out and spend some money in order to get clothes that would be presentable. Okay, so real estate is your brand. You are the boss, and you want to look how you want to present. So you can dress however you'd like. My style is more, I guess, bougie looking. I like to look nice and fancy and dressed up. It doesn't matter what kind of house I'm selling. I like to kind of just look nice. So when I started out, I think I went on a shopping spree, and I spent around $600 starting out to get business clothes that looked nice. That would be suits, blouses, some business shoes, things like that, I mean, they're also a tax write-off, so that's a little bonus, but it is something to consider if you don't have that kind of attire and you want to present yourself and your business in a more professional way. You might want to go and buy some more professional clothing options. The next thing is that you're going to be driving a lot, so plan on filling up your gas tank multiple times a week, at least once a week, if not more. Keep track of your mileage. It's another tax write-off. Almost everything's a tax write-off, but gas is very expensive, especially right now. It's obviously going up, so that's a big expense that you need to account for going into real estate. You're going to need a laptop, a good laptop that you can write up your offers on. You can search the MLS for your clients. You can send out your emails. It's really important to have a computer or a laptop that is reliable and easy to use. So it can be a tablet with like a keyboard. It can be pretty much any kind of computer, but it's important that it's reliable. So I bought a MacBook Pro when I started. I got the MacBook Pro for two reasons, for real estate as well as my YouTube. So you by no means need to get something as fancy as that. I got it because I wanted to edit my content on it as well. So it was a dual purpose. But as long as you have a good computer, that is what's important, is that you have a good, reliable computer. The next thing you're going to want to think about is internet coverage and cell phone service. So I pay extra for my internet because I need to rely on it at all times. I need to make sure that it is fast, that I can write up offers and it's not going to be lagging, and I'm going to be able to get them sent in to the agents as fast as possible. So I pay extra for my internet. Obviously, internet rates range across the country, but that's something to take into consideration, as well as your cell phone provider. I used to have T-Mobile. I was on a family plan with my family, so it was really cheap, but T-Mobile is notorious for not having the best coverage. And as an agent, I'm going to kind of far out places. Some places are more in rural areas where service isn't going to be good regardless for any carrier. So it's really important that you have good coverage, because in order to get into some of these houses, you have to be able to use your phone. So my dad and my dad's a home inspector. We both switched to Verizon, and now we're on a plan together, so it's a little bit cheaper, but Verizon is very expensive. We each pay $75 a month for our cell phone service, and I know I've talked to him a little bit about it, but we've definitely noticed a considerable difference in our cell service since we've switched. So it's been a whole lot faster, and it makes it so much less stressful when you're out showing homes to clients and you're not worried about if your Sentry key is going to work and you're going to be able to get into that house. So definitely important to have good service, especially if something's not working and you need to call the listing agent or anything. really important to have good service for your phone. So that is pretty much everything that I could think of. Those last couple things are more optional, some things that you may already have, but I would say that they are just as important to get along the way, just maybe not up front. I would say they're very important, just not something you need to go and splurge on right away. The main things that I mentioned in the video, the ones that add up to around $3,000, that is what you're going to need to have saved when you start your courses. Also, I just wanted to reiterate the fact that it is probably going to be a very difficult course, and you might want to consider taking off of work, which I know some people cannot do, but if you can afford to do that, I would recommend taking off of work because it will help you so much. Studying is intense and this class is intense, so it's so important to get as much studying time in as you can. So if you can take off of work, I highly recommend it. I know it's not ideal for over 2 weeks, but it really helped me. I passed my exam the first time around, which is, I guess, not common. A lot of people told me that it wasn't common, but I'm guessing that's because of how much time that I personally had to study, and I know not everybody has that time. So definitely just keep that in consideration when you are looking for courses. Also, online versus in class. I took mine in class. It was kind of towards the end of summer last year where COVID was kind of around, but not insane. So we had a socially distanced class where we wore masks, and I am so thankful that I was able to go in person because it is so much better to be able to ask questions from your teacher, hear the other people in your class ask questions as well. And sometimes you read something in a book and it's not actually what it means. So it's good to have other people around you asking questions and a teacher to actually explain things to you if you have questions. I 100% recommend trying to get into an in-person class. If not, there are online options, but online, it's just a little harder. You can't skip anything. If you fail a certain amount of times, you have to go back and retake the whole course. It's really hard to comprehend for some people. Some people are better at online learning than others, but something else to take into consideration would be the in-person or online classes. So that wraps up everything for this video. I hope that it was informative for you guys. If you all have any real estate questions at all, please feel free to ask in the comments down below. I am always happy to answer any questions you guys may have. I love my job and I'm so happy that I was able to afford everything on this list. I wish that people would have explained a little bit better how much things were going to cost when I was starting out, because it's definitely not what I expected. So I still recommend real estate. I love it so much, but please just don't get into it just thinking that you're going to make all this money, because unless you're working really hard for a long period of time and doing everything right, you're not going to make it off the bat. There's absolutely a potential to make lots and lots of money through real estate, but it's a gradual process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So if you guys want me to talk a little bit more about real estate and how it actually is in reality versus on TV shows or things like that, please let me know. Like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions, so please ask them in the comments. And give this video a thumbs up if you learned anything. Hopefully you did. So I will catch you guys in the next one, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll see you guys later.